Welcome to today's Crosspoint Devotion. Today we're going to go to Psalm 30, which was written by King David. And in this particular psalm, there are two verses that I want to read for you. One is in verse 6, the next is in verse 7, so they go together. When I was secure, I said, I will never be shaken. Lord, when you showed your favor, you made me stand like a strong mountain. When you hid your face, I was terrified. David understood as the king of Israel that his stability was found in the Lord. Now, sometimes we assume as we read about a person like David that he never had any issues. He never had any struggles like you and I face in 2024. But the reality was David, even as the king of Israel, had some issues that he had to face periodically. For example, he was always sending out his military to fight the surrounding nations like the Philistines. They would make attacks on part of his kingdom and he would have to send the military to go and fight them. Sometimes David would go with the military and fight those battles himself. As he got older, his military generals would say to him, you're a little bit too old and you're actually a liability. It would be better if you stayed at the castle and let us go and fight the battles. But not only did David have enemies on the outside, sometimes he had conflicts within his own military ranks. There were times when his generals did not trust one another. One general was pitted against another, and David was caught in the middle. And sometimes he had to determine whether he was going to let one be the leader or the other. In addition, David had internal problems even in his own house. He had a son that raped another child in his home, and that caused incredible division within his own children. What I'm trying to help you to see is that David was a person just like us. He was the king of Israel. He was a man who was after God's own heart. But David had struggles. He had challenges. There were days when he had terror and fear that filled his heart. And I think there's a reference to that at the end of verse 7 when he says, when you hid your face, I was terrified. My guess is some of you watching this video are going through some difficult challenges, and there's a little bit of fear in your heart. You're wondering, how can I maintain stability as I walk through these difficult days? Well, David actually gives us the cue. If we go back and read the verses one more time, when I was secure, I said, I will never be shaken. I think that's what all of us wish to have, is this stability in our life where we can walk through life even with its challenges and its heartaches and its difficult days, and yet we can be secure. Well, where did David find that security? It's found in the next verse, verse 7. Lord, when you showed your favor, you made me stand like a strong mountain. David said the secret to stability is to have the Lord's favor. Well, how do we get the Lord's favor? Is it some magic potion that we can take? It's not. What we do is we spend time with the Lord every day. That's why I want to encourage you to spend time in God's Word, because as you spend time in God's Word, you get to know the heart of God, you get to know the love of God, you get to know the power and the majesty and the holiness of God. And as you get to know God and you spend time with Him, you're going to experience His favor, because your life will be rooted in God and not these other things that are causing the challenges in your life. And when you root your life in God, then all of a sudden things begin to get stable, because He becomes your security, He becomes your peace, He becomes that foundation stone upon which you build your life. So if you're going through some difficult times right now, I can't say that you can snap your fingers and those will be gone. But what I can say is if you'll dive into God's Word and spend time with Him and abide with Him, you will find His favor, and His favor will be the security of your life. And that's why David said, when I was secure, I said, I will never be shaken. Lord, when you showed your favor, you made me stand, and notice the phrase he uses, like a strong mountain. If you've ever visited a mountain and seen that incredible piece of land that juts up from the surface of the earth, it's majestic, it's strong, it's immovable. And David said, my life, in spite of all these things, feels like a strong mountain because I'm spending time with you, Lord. Let me encourage you to do the same this week and find your security and stability like a strong mountain in the favor of the Lord. Well, I hope that'll encourage you, and I hope you have a great day, and come back and join us for the next Crosspoint Devotion.